I'm happy to be joined now by Merril Hoge, NFL running back of 8 years, turned NFL analyst on ESPN, also now an author of this book called Brainwash, The Bad Science Behind CTE and the Plot to Destroy Football. You start off in 1994 when you had 2 concussions within 5 weeks. It led to an early retirement, and you write that we didn't know then what we know now about head injuries and football. So what is it that we know now?
Well, if you back up to what happened to me, I had improper care with the first one. So I got returned to play too quickly. Now, where we are today, as far as protocols exist, when head trauma happens at any sport, now keep in mind, it's not just football. Head trauma can happen in any activity that our kids are involved in, not just sports. You could slip in a shower, which happened to my son, trampoline stuff. If you're active, it could happen. But not allowing that person to return back to that environment before they're properly recovered and evaluated. And that's the thing that has been most important, most passionate in my life to make sure that we do.
You spoke about your son. You're okay with him playing tackle football?
Well, he wanted to start playing at age 6, and I didn't let him play till 7, right? But here's what I wanted to do immediately is make that environment better and safer than I had it. And that's what I did. I implemented a head trauma protocol for our youth program at that time.
The most publicized cases surrounding football and head trauma have been Junior Seau, Aaron Hernandez, Mike Webster, who were all found to have CTE. Why is that not enough, in your opinion, to keep a parent from having their child play football?
Well, having the pattern of CTE, that did not cause their death. That is not responsible for their behavior. Mike Webster died of heart failure. Okay, Aaron Hernandez committed suicide, and there is absolutely no scientific evidence that says that pattern caused that. Because on this journey to write this book, I asked that question, what is CTE? I went from neuropathologists across this country and into Canada, and every one of them said the same thing to me. They said, it is a pattern we're observing. We have no idea what causes it, and we don't know what it causes.
As far as CTE and suicide, what would you say about that?
Well, if anybody could figure out what causes somebody to commit suicide, they'll be an absolute genius, because it usually stems from depression. What causes depression? Absolutely nobody knows. And they don't even know what area of the brain is responsible for depression. What may depress you may not depress me. What causes you to do that? Nobody knows. To blame it on a sport or blame it on a pattern with no scientific evidence, to me is a really gross representation of something that is scientifically unproven.
Here in Las Vegas, I've gotten to do a lot of work with the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, so I'm in close contact with greats who are in their 50s and 60s, have slurred speech. Some can barely talk, need help moving around, and I can't help but think, had they not taken as many hits to the head, they may not be in this condition. What would your response be to that?
Well, okay, when I look at boxing, okay, here's why the plot to destroy football. You just mentioned boxing. Do you see any legislation anywhere in this state or any other state trying to ban boxing for kids till after age 12?
Not currently,
No.
not that I'm aware of.
But you see it in football. That is mind-boggling to me. Concussions can happen in any sport. So if it is that dangerous, and they can back that scientifically, why aren't we doing that to every sport?
Those states that have sponsored legislation to try and get rid of youth tackle football, they claim they're protecting these children, but you would argue that they're actually hurting them. Who is at most risk if there were to be no more youth tackle football?
Well, our young people are already in dire straits for a bunch of reasons. What is the #1 issue with our youth in this country today that we look at it with a blind eye, we scoff at it? It's obesity. Sugar consumption is destroying this country right in front of our eyes. You're going to do more harm to your kids by letting them consume too much sugar, be inactive. Their bodies are going to absolutely rot and destroy right in front of your eyes at a slow death, versus being active and involved. In fact, a lot of the research I did find is kids that are active and involved in sports early in life, confidence is better, life skills are better, they have more success.
You are willing to acknowledge that there are dangers in playing tackle football?
Oh, absolutely. I would never say that there's a danger in everything that we do. There's a chance you're going to get hurt, or there's a risk you're going to get hurt if you're going to be active. And if you're going to play contact sports, I can tell you this from my coaching experience in 10 years, here's the list. Bumps and bruises. Did we have a few breaks and fractures? Yes. Do we have concussions? Yes, we had 2 in 10 years. So they're at the very bottom as far as incident rate, but I put them up here as far as how we address them immediately.
And my last question for you, after 8 years in the NFL, college ball, and not to mention Pop Warner, have you noticed a decline in your own mental faculties at all?
No. In fact, I feel as healthy and as strong as I have ever felt in my entire life. But why do I feel like that? I invest in my health. I do take pride in taking care of myself, and there's a responsibility we all have. And that is what's happened a lot with a lot of former players. They're drinking, they have no purpose, the diet they have eaten, and they've let their life erode, but yet they want to point it at football. It's football 10 years ago. It's not the lifestyle that I've been doing for the last 20 years. And that's a real problem, was that we create excuses versus find solutions and hold people accountable for their lifestyle and the way they've been living versus blaming something that there's no scientific evidence. I'm going to keep going back to that. There's no scientific evidence that says if you play football, you're going to have CTE later in life. Zero. None whatsoever.
But there are ways that if you feel you are not mentally up to speed, you can go and almost retrain your brain. There are these options currently.
Amber, I think that's one of the best questions I've ever got, because that's what we should be selling to people and letting them know the things that are available now as far as treatments and therapies, that if you have the mental health, let's get help to those people. There are so many treatments and therapies now where we are able to heal our brain, repair our brain. It is a fascinating organ. It is the one where people go, you can't do it. I know surgeons that have said they've removed some of the frontal lobe, and people have gotten back to all of the activities they thought they would never have because the brain can retrain that. We have fabulous things, and we should give people that hope versus the discouragement that there is no hope, because there is more hope today than in the history of medicine for people who have brain issues.
Thank you, Merrill Hodge, for coming in and for your passion.
Thank you, Amber.
All right. Brainwash, the bad science behind CTE and the plot to destroy football. Thank you again.
Thanks, Amber.